everyone. Welcome back to Neffy Cat. We're so glad that you can join us today. In today's video, I want to introduce an interesting topic. How many of you have ever had kitties and wondered if they think you're another cat? Well, I wanted to find out if Neffy Cat thinks that I'm another cat. And I found some interesting information out. So the first thing to note about this is that there haven't been a lot of studies done on cats' cognition, and dogs have had a lot of studies done to determine what they think of us and how they think and so forth. We're only at the early stage of that, so right now in the cat world there's still a lot of hypotheses, but those of us who work with them every day, who know them and love them, we find out a lot about them that I think they'll discover for themselves as they study. That was a cute little wing. When you do know about how your cat thinks, it's really very beneficial to us because it can help us improve relationships with them and our connections with them. Yeah, it's just like a person. If you know what a person thinks and how they think and even why, if you know that their way of thinking, you can reach them in ways that nobody else ever could. Sometimes human individuals with disabilities can really struggle because people won't know what they're thinking and sometimes not even how they're feeling, and that can put a dampener in their connections with others. Well, I very much argue that the same is true for animals, cats, dogs, or otherwise. So the more that we know how they think, yes, and the way that their emotions work as well, the better off we are, and the closer we can get. We'll be accurate in how we bring across our information to them. One thing that researchers do know for sure is that they're being around us, especially with such significant amounts of time, that it definitely affects the way that cats think and the ways that they behave. And this little tail is behaving impatient and is saying, I want to do my own kitty thing. Research has found, though, that they do respond to our moods and that they look for how we feel. They can tell when we're depressed, they can tell when we're agitated, and they look to us also to be able to interpret what a situation is that's going on around them, and how we act will determine how they act very often. There's an interesting site that I found a really good article. I'll post it in the description, but it's called Inverse.com. Science, does my cat think I'm a cat? One thing that they were pointing out is that cats do show sensitivity to our moods. For example, they tend to be sensitive towards somebody who is clinically depressed. They follow our cues and they respond accordingly. So there is a belief in the cat community, and I'm of this myself, but we can't prove this for sure. We all think that cats regard us as bigger cats. Now, interestingly, research is showing that they don't just think of us like as a parent, but more like they do siblings. The same types of behaviors that they have around their siblings, such as playing and purring, rubbing up against and scenting and so forth, they do that, those signs of affection and stuff, with their other litter mates. And so we know, of course, that they are very attached to us emotionally, whether or not they think that we're cats. They definitely are attached to us, and so there is definitely a social relationship. So there was somebody named Molly DeVos who was a certified feline trainer and behaviorist, that she believes that cats, she said, it is thought that cats perceive us humans as bigger versions of themselves. And then there's some researchers and scientists that are actually skeptical of that. A lot of us, those like me that work with them on a regular basis, I tend to think they might, and even if not, like I was saying, they still do love us and they still do have an attachment to their social connection with us. I'm sure they regard us as providers because in the regards that we're reliable for them. And so we're a reliable source of food and closeness and affection. Yes, we are. They can sleep in our laps. They can have pets. Yes, they can. One interesting point about them is that if you know the kitty and if they know you, they're going to treat you like a sibling. But if they don't know you and you haven't developed an established connection, they won't regard another human the same way as they will the ones that they're the closest with. That's a big deal. People who are veterinarians and those who have to work with the kitties know that about them. And so to a veterinarian, they'd have to be aware, well, the cat thinks that that's a potential predator, or at least somebody not necessarily safe. Now, this little guy has been more tamed than others. He's only had love in his life, and he's only had people be good to him. So he tends to trust people that are strangers quicker than other cats that I've known. My kitty named Sheba, years ago, she was very exclusive. She took to myself, she took to my friend Huron, my friend Greg, and to my sister. But it wasn't as common for her to feel safe around others, especially not other kitties. Oh, Sheba, when Kira was a little kitten, her and Riku, her sister, were little kittens, and they came around Sheba, she hissed and growled and felt threatened by them. Now, in his case, he's had siblings and such that he did very well with, but I've not seen him, around another kitty. I'm sure he'd behave similarly, though. If Sheba herself, she even used to get really jealous if I had another kitty around me. And then Kira, when she entered her adulthood, lo and behold, she behaved the same way. There was a point where my brother Dave had given her to me, and she was great towards me, but if I was around even her sibling, she could get very jealous and very hissy and growly. She didn't like other kitties getting the human's attention at all. Yes. Now, he lives in a household with 2 other doggies, and I always keep them separate, only supervised visitations, so to speak. As funny as that sounded. But with that in mind, the doggies do seem to get jealous of him, particularly the one that's almost his size that we call Skillen. Daisy has managed to somewhat make friends, but will also seem a little jelly when I've got all this attention going with my kitty. I haven't directly observed him to get jealous over them, but I also haven't ever tested the boundaries, so to speak. And I don't know if I should. I don't want to cause him any emotional discomfort or upset. The attachment that they have to us is indeed very real. They do observe us and they try to figure out what's going on with us. Yes. And we, just like we observe them to see what's going on with them. An interesting last point here, when there is something going on and they can't figure it out, they kind of look to how we react to it like we do our own peers, our brothers and sisters, and other people that are around us. I hope that this video helps bring you guys more understanding about your kitties too, and recognize that you are important to them. They have an emotional connection to you that matters. If you remember that about them, you can have a really close, wonderful connection that brings social companionship for both you and them, and keeps both happy and healthy, yes, and keeps you close and understanding one another. And I appreciate his love, his companionship and affection, whether or not he thinks that I'm another kitty. I'm just glad that he appreciates the social companionship. Yes, I even think that that's a really good name for the types of connections that we have with our kitties. A little social companion. Yes. Well, thank you all so very much for watching this video today. If you like the content of our videos, don't forget to tick those paws and paw that like button. You can paw the subscription button, and you can paw the notification bells so that you can see all of Nuffy Cat's videos. Well, thank you all so very much.